And I would like to acknowledge Donna Patrick because she did a fabulous job on my open houses this weekend. So thank you very much, Donna. I appreciate it.
You are very welcome, Jan. It was my pleasure. I really enjoyed it.
Beautiful. Tell me more about that. How did you get some traffic?
I got a couple of folks on Saturday and probably about 5 visits yesterday. It went really well.
You did it both days, huh?
I did, and I practiced the open house script with Kim last week, so I got to implement that. Of course, I didn't remember every single line, but I had got the gist of it and had some good dialogue with a lot of folks.
Oh, I don't mean to sound ignorant, but what is the open house script?
Just, you want me to go through the script? Well,
yeah,
you know, they come to the door. I have my COVID sign on the door, so they have to knock, and I say, welcome, come in. I'm Donna Patrick with Keller Williams Realty Consultants, and who are you?
Who are you?
They answer, and I say, nice to meet you. Well, the seller has asked everyone to sign in for protection purposes, so do you mind signing in over here? And they gave me all their information, address, phone number, email, when they're looking to buy, and all that sort of stuff. And then I invite them to look around. I tell them a little bit about the house, details that Jan has shared with me. Then I ask them if, after they look around, if they wouldn't mind filling out the feedback form that I have on the clipboard on the counter in the kitchen. So they gave us some feedback on the house. Also, as they were signing in, I was asking them, you know, are you from the neighborhood or are you out looking for houses today? If they say they're out looking for houses, I ask them how they've been searching for houses, whether they've seen anything that they like yet, they have, why they haven't purchased something yet, and just kind of get that dialogue going. And if they say, oh, and instead of asking them if they're working with an agent, I ask them who their agent is. And of course,
exactly, that's critical.
Remember,
we want to have those open-ended conversations. So if you say, do you have an agent? It's kind of like when you go into a clothing store and the clerk says, can I help you? You instinctually say, no, I'm good, I'm just looking. And then you have to, that's awkward, and you're gonna have to break that if you want to try to court that person, right? Or get their information. So you ask the question, who is your realtor? Because the vast majority of the time they don't have one, and the other vast majority of the time they can't think of who it is because the relationship is so weak.
Exactly, and that's what happened. That was the case with a lot of the people that came through. So those that were not interested in that particular house, you know, I asked them for their feedback, found out why, found out what they were looking for that was different from this open house. And a couple of them, I sent them other houses in the area that are on the market. And one of them I actually met with last night to show her a house. So,
man, you're running a business.
Yep. I was proud of myself. I did.
How's it feel?
This weekend than I did last weekend.
How's that feel, Donna? It sounds like you're running a business.
Yeah, it felt good. I was better prepared this weekend, so it felt good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. See the benefit of the systems, right? You have the system for how people walk in the door. You have the system for how you communicate with them. You have the system for how you follow up with them, right?
Right. Yep. I had the script practice.
Makes everything easy.
Had the script practice, which was helpful. And then I had the right sign-in sheet. I had the feedback form, so it all helped to build the dialogue.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, tell me something else, you guys. Give me some other successes from the weekend.
Well, I also hosted an open house for Pam.
Yeah, sorry that home went under contract so fast, or we got so many offers so fast.
I know, that was crazy. But that's okay. We still got quite a bit of traffic, especially at the very beginning. I was almost not quite prepared for like the 2 o'clock like line that was pretty much coming in steadily. But I did pretty much what Donna did. You know, I had my sign-in sheet, was welcoming everybody, you know, asking them the same kind of questions. And I believe I got 2 potential buyers. I'm going to have an appointment with one of them tonight by phone.
Nice.
So, and then I've got another one who is trying to get a pre-approval with a lender right now. So I'm going to talk to her after she does that. So not bad.
Man, great job. So that's another one, by the way. I believe the deadline for multiple offers is this afternoon.
Yes.
And you and Pam can probably fight over who's going to call every one of those neighbors and tell them that the home went under contract in, you know, barely a day, or we had multiple offers in barely a day, and we just need another house.
Yes.
So who's got another house, right? By the way, this just one more sidebar on that home. About maybe 6 weeks ago, I got a call from the owner of that home, who I had helped his wife a couple of times with the transaction. Actually helped them buy a place and sell the place and then buy a different place. And he had this little house from before they were married. And I've gotten an opportunity to help them rent that place out, I think 2 or 3 times. And he called me, he's like, let's rent it again. I said, give me your numbers. Right. Yeah. And he, you know, cause I don't want to, like, if he's going to rent it, he needs to understand why he's renting it. If he's going to sell it, in my opinion, he needs to understand why he's selling it. Right. Or why he's considering selling it. So we crunched the numbers, and quite honestly, it made absolutely no sense for him to rent it. He needed to sell it. It was a sale. It was a sale thing. So we were talking about the price, and we said, we think we're probably in that 180 neighborhood. Right. And then as I looked a little closer about a week or so later, I said, I think we could probably push 200 now. And then when Pam listed it the other day, she said, I think we can go even higher. We listed it for 215 and got multiple offers.
That's amazing.
So don't be so dead set on setting the price on day one. Spend your energy developing that relationship.
I have something to say about that too.
Okay. And then, you know, you let them know, hey, we're just going to evaluate the marketplace right before it goes on the market and see if we need to make an adjustment. All right, go ahead, Jenny.
So I listed a house last week, and I knew it would sell fast. And the neighbors directly across the street sold theirs for like $240 or whatever. My client's was a little bigger, $230, something like that. And I said, we need to go a little bit higher. Well, there were 2 other homes in the neighborhood that sold for $149. And so I sat down and I really dug in and asked them, tell me why you think those homes sold for $149 and yours, you know. And I found out that even though it was the same neighborhood, the school districts were different. So I was able to head that off when agents came at me with, I went ahead and said, when you do research on this neighborhood, you may find that 2 other homes in this neighborhood sold for that price. It has to do with the school district, because, you know, explain, and that it's the same neighborhood, but they're across the street from each other, like across a highway from each other, putting them in different school districts. And so I did the same thing. I went higher than I thought we should, and we had multiple offers.
Right.
The school district
how about
makes
that?
a huge difference, because that's what I'm battling right now with the house that Donna sat this weekend. I mean, literally, I am $25,000 less than all the houses listed in the other school district, and we're talking less than 0.2 of a mile away. And
exactly.
I'm getting ready to have to take another price reduction because of
right.
The school
So, but understand, if the school district is that much of a difference, right? Like I don't want to throw out school districts right now, but let's say you got 2 schools that are relatively similar, right? People don't not like one, but like the other, right? That's worthy of saying, okay, let's go outside the neighborhood or at a mile or 2 and let's see what else is selling. However, if you've got Walton versus Sprayberry or something, I mean, I'm not saying Walton's great. I'm not saying Sprayberry is not great. I'm just saying there's a big difference and people think that, right? And therefore you can't comp a house in one district against the other. So you're going to have to compare it to the other choices within that school district. That home that Marinelli was at this weekend, it's not in a very good school district, according to the statistics, right? Yet, when you compare it to the other options in that school district right now, there ain't nothing comparable. And so that's why the market jumped at it.
But one question I asked that I usually don't, because I thought I knew everything about that, area, was I said, is there anything that's different that I don't know? And then they said, oh yeah, we forgot to tell you. So like, I would not have known that. I would not have been prepared for another agent. I would not have been prepared for appraisal and all that if I would not have asked, that question.
Well, if I can be really blunt with you, that is there was a gap between how prepared you should have been and how prepared you were.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's very true. And you know what, Bill, what I've learned is that I'm very good at strategy and I'm not good at tactics. So like, I need to work on that. I need to work on being prepared. And like you said, I went in there thinking I know everything, and I didn't.
Right. Well, there's two things that you need to employ in order to be more prepared. Okay. And I think this is applicable for every appointment and for all of you. Is number one is you need to have a checklist of some sort, right? You need to have a checklist. You need to say, okay, well, I'm going to, pull the tax records, and I'm going to look at the comps, and I'm going to, print the things out and all these kind of things, right? And then what do you have to do when you have a task at hand is you have to commit to time on the calendar to do that work, right? So when you book an appointment, let's say for 2:00 on Thursday, you also need to put an appointment with yourself sometime prior to that time to have no distractions.
So smart.
To prepare for that, right?
Oh my gosh,
Because if you don't do that, then what ends up happening is you fly by the seat of your pants. So not only are you not
Jenny,
practicing
that's what I do.
Mm-hmm. But you're winging the comps. You're like, I've worked in Woodstock before, I'm cool, right? But I don't know. Have you seen what's going on? I'm not saying there's anything going on in Woodstock, but have you seen what the trends lately, right? Have you studied that? Do you know what else is on the market, right? Have you combed through the pictures? Have you seen what happens to be expiring? Have you seen what happens to be selling quickly, right? So not only do you have to book the appointment, but you got to book an appointment with yourself to prep for that appointment. So to refresh, not only do we need time to prepare, but we also need to know what steps, what does that even mean, right? When I say prepare, what are we even talking about, right? So you got to create a checklist of how you're going to prepare, right? You're going to make sure that the right collateral is printed out. You're going to double check to make sure if you're going to show them something in command, on the computer, that you can do that. All these kind of things, right?
And
okay.
I may have done the price points and not done the neighborhood. I should do the neighborhood and the price points. I need to do all of it.
What I always used to do when I was selling, and I'll tell you, there's plenty of stuff I wasn't very good at, but I was really good at pricing. I can only think of, outside of my own freaking house, that's a whole different story. There's only one property that took me longer than a month to sell out of a couple hundred probably. Like, I was pretty good at pricing. So I would take the neighborhood, and then I would take the middle school district, or the elementary school district, and the middle school district, and I would take the FMLS area. I just look at it from a ton of different angles. And every time I was kind of evaluating using that grouping of homes, I'd say, okay, I think the home's probably somewhere between 340 and 350. Let's look at the next group. And I'd say, maybe it's a little lower. Maybe it's a little higher. Then I'd come up with my number, and I'd say, all right, what is the broadest group of homes that a prospective buyer might consider or might request his agent to send, or her agent to send, right? Then I'd pretend that my soon-to-be listing was going to be on the market for 350, on the market with all these, knowing that if it didn't stand out because of pictures or price, they weren't even coming in to begin with.
That's a great idea. Mm-hmm.
So then I had to essentially prove to myself, pretend I was a buyer, and prove to myself that this home, with its condition / pictures and its price, was appealing enough for me to actually want to go see it, right? And for it to be a valuable use of my time. So that's how I kind of went through the process. I'll be honest with you, I'm not suggesting this. I have never, with the exception of a couple BPOs that I did for some relocation stuff, done like a formalized CMA. I've calculated a lot of price per square foot, and I've jotted a bunch of stuff down, but I've never like put it into some fancy sheet and spent hours doing it. It was more by feel. Okay?
Yeah.
So I was never like, oh my gosh, they have silver knobs instead of gold knobs. Let's add, you know, $440 to the price. Never did any of that. Okay. Good job on the listing. Go report that, Jenny, so I know it's happening now.
Oh, I think I did, but I did get a buyer. That's good.
Nice. Okay, this is going to be the first week, by the way. This is a good turnout, you guys. I'm proud of you. Thank you for coming on this morning. This is going to be the first week of our 15-minute coaching sessions. So one of the things that I'd like to put together, and I'll review all these expectations with you guys individually. But what I'd like to do is I want to create some standards around these meetings, okay? The purpose of the meeting is not necessarily to discuss the transaction of the day and what struggle you might be having with it. The idea for those is these morning sessions or, you know, the group chat or something like that. The 15 minutes that we spend together is going to be strictly around your activities, right? How you're feeling, what you're doing well, what you're not doing well, what kind of results you're having, right? Working on any type of mindset or motivation issues. But I don't want to spend that time, you know, kind of working through the details of an appraisal contingency. That's not really what coaching is. Okay, we can do that, but I think the 15 minutes should be strictly geared towards how do we make your business make traction, right? Lead generation, we're going to do some metrics. So I'm going to ask you your numbers right away. That's the very, very first thing. Every coaching call I've ever been on, the very first thing out of the coach's mouth is, what's the numbers? Because that way we can say, hey,
What do you mean by what numbers?
I'm going to ask you about the numbers that you're reporting, right? The appointment set, contacts, database ads, appointments going on, listings taken, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So I want to make sure you guys are tracking that so that I know what to coach on, right? It's not a opportunity for us, again, to deal with the problems of the day. There's other forums for that. This is strictly on, Jenny, you said you wanted this. Here's where we're at. What are we doing well? What are we not doing well? Let's think about some ideas to regroup. What change do we need to make to ensure that you do the work that you know you need to do today? Make sense?
Yes.
Anyone else thoughts on that? Stuart, am I the only one on video right now? Donna?
No, Donna's there. I've got hair color on my hair, so y'all don't want to see me.
All right. Okay, I got a couple of messages out for our Friday guest, just to let you know we are going to have a guest this Friday on our success series. That's from 12 to 1. And today from 1 to 3, we're going to do kind of a double version of the basic skills camp. And we're going to talk about contracts. So we're going to we'll take, let's say, a contract like the buyer brokerage agreement. We'll go over what it means, how to explain it to your client, how to deal with any objections that you may have, how to fill it out properly, and understand why certain things are certain ways, right? Why do we put this number here instead of that number? Why do we leave this blank instead of filling it out? That kind of thing. So that's going to be from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock today. And don't forget, Bold 100 is Wednesday. So let's just do a really quick review of that. On that day, we're gonna come on the call at 8:30. We'll have a little morning session just like normal until 9. And then I'm gonna turn off the recorder and keep on my video. And I'm going to encourage you guys to do the same thing. If you feel more comfortable off video, that's fine. But I'd like you to have the Zoom on throughout the day if you're willing. That way, as we're having successes or if we're having challenges, we can just type it in the chat box and say, hey, I got this objection. I've never gotten that before. Or, hey, I heard this. What would you suggest I do? Right? And we'll all be there to help. Oh, thanks, Liz. We'll all be there to help each other through the challenges of the day. And the goal is to secure some people in our database, right? To deepen some relationships, to share value, and hopefully to book some appointments, right? We decided we were going to do this the first Wednesday of each month. The reason there is to get the momentum up and to get a real good head start on your numbers for the month. Okay, so that is going to be Wednesday, and we'll keep the room open throughout the day. Okay, and any questions on any of the calendaring stuff? Okay, I sent out a very detailed email yesterday, so hopefully you guys have gotten an opportunity to review that. Our letters.
Thank
for the
you. I
week
love those.
Sure.
I read all the way to the bottom.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
All right. All right.
Because I haven't.
I did include, by the way, a document called this, what did I call it? Special STIP, something or another. Special STIP. I'll tell you in a second. Anyway, it's a collection of about 4 or 5 agents that sent me their special stipulations. And there's actually about 4 or 5 of them that I never actually thought to do this, but this is a really smart way to do it, is to have a couple special stipulations on the buyer. Where you can go on record at that point doing things like recommending a survey and recommending a home inspection and recommending that they speak to multiple vendors and these kind of things, right? So that just gets all that stuff out and in writing, so there was no debate on, Bill never said to get a survey, blah, 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 right? I thought that was a great idea as well.
You said so that's part of the exclusive buyer brokerage agreement?
I'm saying it could be. There are some stipulations on that page. And by the way, it's a running document, so if I get any more or think of any more, I'll add them in there, so you can always go back and see what we're working with. Some of which are, a lot of legalese, and some are pretty straightforward. But those are there to help you. There are a couple that can go on the buyer brokerage agreement. The vast majority of them would go on the purchase and sale agreement. Okay. Are there any documents that you would like to review today during the contract overview? I got the FHA amendment, conventional loan exhibit, purchase and sale, seller's disclosure, community association disclosure, exclusive listing agreement, and buyer brokerage agreement. Anything else?
Is the VA different from the FHA, or is it basically the same?
It's got a couple of differences, but it's fairly similar. Okay, I want you guys to write down a number, right? Yes, ma'am.
Are you going to, I noticed Susan Corley has some of those videos posted, and I was watching some. Are you going to post videos so that we can refer back to them?
Videos of today?
When you're talking about the contracts that you're going to go over.
Yeah, all that will be recorded and it'll be uploaded to YouTube.
Okay.
Yep. By the way, there are a couple of those already there,
right.
But we'll have a pretty good intensive today.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. I want everyone to pick up a pen. We're going to write down a number today. Thank you. We're going to write down a number today, okay? We're almost at the end of the month, and I'm going to have you set a goal for this upcoming month. And the goal is going to be, how many seller listing appointments am I committing to going on in July? Okay. Remember, it doesn't necessarily have to be in person if you're dealing with somebody that's out of town, or you're dealing with somebody that's reluctant to meet face-to-face, or if you're reluctant to meet face-to-face. Right? It's a predetermined time where all parties know This is about business. And you're going to do a needs analysis and you're going to close. That's what an appointment is. A needs analysis and a close. Make sense? Okay, so I want you to write down this number, and I want this to be in a place that you see all the time. Because we know I'm actually about 20 pages done from rereading The Millionaire Real Estate Agent for like the 80th time. And it all starts with seller listings. If we have our seller listings and we market them properly, the world falls into place. If we don't have enough seller listings, then we're always chasing down the next open house. We're always chasing down whether the home sold too fast. We don't have enough control. And then you're at the mercy of the buyers that say they want to buy, right? So I want to focus on seller listings this month. Our goal is to go on 17 seller listing appointments as a group per month and to take 13 of those. 17 appointments, 13 listings taken, okay? Last month, just so you know, we went on 19 appointments, seller listing appointments, and took 11. So a hair over on the appointments and a hair under on the listings signed. In June, we are a good bit behind though. As of this moment, there are 14 listing appointments, so we'll probably finish the month okay on that, but we've only taken 5. So I want you to go back, and there's a little bit of shortfall there. So it's coming from a few different places. Number one, it could be the person is getting the house prepped and ready, okay? Which in my opinion, I still think you can get a commitment in writing from them. So as soon as they agree to work with you, then you can go to the seller and say, hey, I know you're getting the paint finished up and you're finishing the landscaping or whatever, but I'd like to start making some calls so I can help find a buyer. Let's just get the paperwork signed and we'll put a price to be determined and a list date to be determined, but we're gonna work exclusively together and we can count that. Damn, you got 2 listings in the last minute. Kathy Ray, you're awesome.
I forgot. I forgot
What a
to add
morning.
2. I
What a
forgot to
morning.
add 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we
Sorry.
have, so those are seller listings, right?
They're lots. Yeah, residential lots, but they're still listings.
Beautiful, beautiful. So we want to make sure that we push a little bit, right? Let's push for the business. Let's not be like overly like, you know, inappropriate, but let's ask for the order. We've earned the right to ask for the order. Let's ask for it. Okay. And it could also be because you might not be pre-qualifying them enough. So remember those intake sheets has the seller listing questions, seller pre-qualification questions. So I'd like for you to begin to review those if you haven't already, or even memorize those. So that way, when you're on the telephone and you get the idea that, hey, I got a prospect here, you can start to run through those questions and be ready. And if they answer a few of those questions in the wrong way, then you know that, hey, this lead isn't as strong as I had thought, and you can behave accordingly. Okay. So 50% is a little on the low side, I would say. So 7 out of 14. Let's if you're having specific challenges beyond, hey, I met with the guy and he's a bigot and I don't want to work with him, I'm not pushing you to work with somebody like that. But I want to try to help you get enough feedback from those meetings that you know exactly what problem to address when you get back to the office. Does that make sense? Okay, does anyone want to share their number? How many listing appointments are we going on in July?
3. I'm going on
Right.
3 and I'm taking 3.
Man, Kathy, you're one of my favorites this morning. Okay, who else? Anyone else want to share? So this is also something that I read this week in MREA, is it says, what do I want? So we've just stated what we want. When do I want it by? You want it by the end of this month or end of July. And what has to happen for me to have it? So am I putting out a number that like kind of feels strange to put in writing? And if so, how is your behavior going to have to change, or your daily activities going to have to change or your schedule going to have to change to make certain that that goal gets hit. Okay. All right. Don't forget the letters for this week, according to DTD2, are F as in Frank, G is in George, M is in Mary, and X is in X-ray. So if you have people in your database whose last names start with those letters, F, G, M, and X, they should be getting a call from you this week. Okay. And if you have any neighborhoods or a particular address that you'd like my assistant to send a coal list, please go ahead and send that to me ASAP so I'm not pulling those lists together Wednesday. Wednesday is for action, not preparing for action, okay? Okay, I'm in a little bit different format today, so I didn't see a lot of the chats. Did I address any of your questions?
Yes. Ebony was talking about her her experience with Robin in chat, and then she fell over a toy and hurt herself.
Welcome to real estate. All right, you have an excuse for a couple days, I guess, to not be on video. Okay.
What do you guys think about? Oh, excuse me. What do you guys think about spending some time tomorrow morning or Wednesday morning, kind of going over scripts for Bold 100?
Love it.
Okay. I just feel a little uneasy about starting that on Wednesday, and we could go over some scripts.
So why don't we do tomorrow's morning session? We'll do some role play. Okay. All right, guys. Y'all have a wonderful day. I will see you, many of you today in our coaching sessions, and I will see you at 1 o'clock for the contracts class. Okay. Have an awesome morning.
You too.
You as well.